Hello everyone, welcome back to Alkaline Hydrochloride 784, and today in the digital tools series we'll be looking at not really any specific application but instead the act of coding. So the reason why I'm doing this is because even though I'm not exactly experienced enough to actually have how to use this particular language or anything like that, I think what I would want to say is, just to give you a brief introduction as to what different stuff there is and what's the best way to learn and use it on your own. Yeah, so first off, what is coding? Well, basically the idea of coding is to use certain logic which you feed to a computer and ask it to do something basically. So it's, for example, maybe you want the computer to pick something based on the number that it has. So you say, okay, if the number is 1, then you pick it. If the number is 2, then you don't pick it. So you can actually write a code for that. Of course, I'm kind of simplifying things a bit because in order to pick the thing, it depends on what the thing is. If the thing is a data, then it's easier to read. But if it's like a picture, then you need to read the number of it. Then you need special modules, like libraries in order to read that number. So yeah, so that's the idea behind coding. Basically, to write something in a language according to what they have, like coding language, in order to get the computer to do something for you. So who can learn it? That's the next question. Anyone, I guess. Anyone who is bothered enough to learn it, I guess. Because all you really need is a computer to type it in and the willingness to actually learn how to do it. And in fact, since there's like stuff online to actually learn from, you don't even need like an actual teacher or someone to teach you how to do it. You can learn it all on your own. And yeah, that's basically the answer to the question. But is there like a minimum age? I guess it will probably be, if as long as you're old enough to understand how to use a computer and can actually understand the material that you see online on how to code, then you can definitely learn it. So yeah, anyone can learn it. So the third question is, why learn it? Well, yeah, many people might be thinking that coding is only for computer science students, and to some extent, yeah, it is sometimes good to just leave it to the computer science students to help us code very complicated things. But there are many simpler things that sometimes may be better for us to do it on our own as well. So, like, because there are many fields which are very specialized, like, coding can be used for things like bioinformatics, it can be used for language processing, and sometimes even if you have a computer science student, it is helpful for the person who wants the program to understand coding as well, so that they can better understand the limitations of coding, or better understand what's the best way to present the problem to the computer science student for them to actually code it for you. Or if you're doing the code yourself, you can at least know how to code, change your word problem into a coding problem. Yeah, so it's quite helpful to learn at least the basic or the fundamental idea behind how coding works, and use it in your every, like, of course you don't really use it every day, but every now and then you get to use it. Yeah, I think it's more useful once you go to university, because in university, if you join various projects or do various things, there's a higher chance of you actually needing to code in order to use that code in a certain application, or to fulfill the requirements of a project. So that's the third question. So the fourth question is, what languages can one learn? Well, there's many coding languages out there, and yeah, there's stuff like Python, which is, I think, the the in thing for most people, like the thing that a lot of people know about. Even though I think there are actually some newer languages that are becoming more popular amongst the truly in the know people, which honestly I'm not truly in the know. I just know that there's all sorts of new languages coming up every now and then. But the ones that I know of, like, and I've heard of, are like Python, C, C++, R, which is a more research-based language, MATLAB, which is something that we are forced to learn, Java, CSS. They kind of go together or something. But the ones that I've actually learned are Python and MATLAB to some lesser degree. So, do you need to learn a lot of languages? Well, not necessarily. I think it's useful as long as you learn one of them, because sometimes if you don't actually get to code a lot, it's not very worthwhile to go and spam and learn a lot of like a lot of the coding languages just because you think it's useful to do it. Instead, you can take it more of, you learn the one that's easiest for you to approach and learn first, and from there, if there is a need for you to learn other coding languages, you can use the existing knowledge in one of the languages to actually easily learn other languages. I think that's the best way to proceed usually, because I know that everyone is busy with their own stuff. So, if you really want to learn how to code, but at the same time you don't really have a lot of time, the best way to go about it is to learn one language first, and if needed, then you can learn more. Like for the computer science students, they obviously have to learn a lot of them, but for the rest of us, maybe, at least maybe just learn Python or whatever that you feel most comfortable with. So that brings us to the next question, which is how to learn coding. There are many ways to go about doing it. The first way is in your university course, because you're forced to learn it. So in fact, I had one module which was, teaching us how to use computational thinking, and the program that was used was MATLAB, of course. And I don't know why they like to use MATLAB, but I think it's because it uses matrices, and the things that we are doing use matrices to some extent. It's just very maths, and I guess MATLAB sounds nice with maths. But you don't necessarily need to know MATLAB unless you are in the more maths or engineering part side of things. Um, if you're learning it on your own, in fact, like I learned Python on my own first, which is I used Code Academy, I think, Code Academy, and I just went and subscribed to it for like 2 months or something, and went through their Python course. But technically, if you're really good, you may not even need something like Code Academy. You can just go to YouTube and listen to those free 1 hour videos. And I remember seeing a lot of such videos on YouTube. So it's up to you to decide how you want to do it based on your budget and the ease of learning of the language. And after you learn the basics, I don't think it's very useful to keep, you know, go for even more advanced course to learn the more advanced libraries that are there in Python, because it is something that you can look up on your own. So if you want to go for any course, go for the most, like, the basics. If you don't already know the basics, then go for that first. And once you're done with it, you don't really need to don't pay for more advanced courses unless you really need the advanced courses. If you have any free workshops that you can go to, then go for those, because they will still give you a bit of a idea of what exists out there. Like if you don't know about how to do data analysis, basically it's like doing Excel stuff but in Python. Then there's usually at least one workshop in university that will allow you to learn more about that, or you can watch a YouTube video to find out more, because by knowing that, you can then remember that there's such a library when you need when it comes to the fact that you need to use it or something like that. Yeah, so that's basically how to learn it. You just attend, like, you can either sign up for an online course, or you can just watch some videos and then just try it out yourself, and make sure the best way to do it is, of course, to try some of the mini projects that they will have in the course. And in fact, you can learn even more by taking on a different course, which is, for example, the if let's say you want to learn more about bioinformatics because it's related to your field or something. So that's what I did in Coursera. I was doing a bioinformatics course, and even though I wasn't learning directly about Python, since I knew Python, I used it to do the stuff that I needed to do in the bioinformatics course, and that helped me to remember what I learned earlier and also develop my ability to use it a little bit more. Although that's a bit more maths rather than coding, so yeah. So that's how to learn it, I guess. So the last question is how to use what you've learned. So the first thing you can do, of course, is to actually try out the stuff that they have in the course, which is not just the basic examples, but the mini projects, or like what I mentioned earlier, just sign up for another course that requires you to use the coding. That's like one of the easiest ways to do it because you have somebody to already tell you what to do. If you want to be a bit more adventurous, you can just think of your own applications and see how to approach the application by coding. And once you know that you can take a problem, synthesize it into your a coding sense, and then get started. And if you're already in that stage of you've started but you don't really know what to do at a certain point of time, you get stuck anywhere, the best thing you can do is to go to the online resource. So for example, if you're using Python, you can search up a certain function, like maybe you want it to maybe you forgot what a for loop is, so you can search how to do a for loop, or like how to repeat the thing again and again. Then you can get to a website where it will tell you what exactly a for loop does, or how you initiate it. And you can even use this for libraries that you've never heard of before. So if there's definitely quite a few things that may be a bit complicated for you to do, especially if you're a beginner. And the best thing you can do is search online for libraries that can help you do some of the more complicated stuff that you cannot do on your own. So yeah, it's quite useful to actually download the required things that will allow you to access the libraries. Because for example, in Python, if you just have the normal Panda, it's may not allow you to access some of the libraries that are there. But if you download the extra stuff that allows you to access some of the libraries, then you can actually do it. So for example, I believe the matplotlib is not exactly there in the, or like the pandas set of stuff. Why is there a helicopter outside? Okay, anyways. So basically the best way to go about doing it is to think on your own, as well as to search online for shortcuts and ways to make your life a bit easier. Don't try like to always create everything from scratch, because generally in coding there's a lot of things that have already been made. So if they've already been made, then just use it. It's no one's gonna judge you for that, in a sense. Especially if the thing is shared online, you might as well just use it. So places where code is usually shared is, for example, GitHub. You can go to GitHub and search for any project. And sometimes you can even take the entirety of that project and then modify it according to your needs. So for example, if you're programming Arduino or something like that, right? Then sometimes you would need a certain function and you don't really know how to do it yourself. In fact, I'm not very proficient with programming Arduinos. Like it's kind of new to me. Although most of the time I just write like normal code, so I haven't really done Arduino all that much. But let's say if you're the kind of person who does that, and you get if you wanted to do a certain function, like maybe move something a few meters or some few centimeters, then you find a function that allows it to move something first, and then you copy paste it. Then you modify it according to your needs. Maybe you want it to move further or move faster or slower or something like that, or change the conditions that is required for it to move. So you can do that. Actually, you can literally just copy and paste and then modify it according to your needs. A lot of coding is kind of a bit like that, especially if you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it for a company, then I don't know how it changes, because that's a lot more professional already. But you can still search online for all the libraries that you can use. You may probably not be able to copy an entire thing and modify it, but you can definitely use external libraries that can help you simplify certain tasks and then focus on the things that are truly hard to find libraries for and need to be customized. Yeah, so that's basically how to code in a nutshell. Um, yeah, as you can see, I didn't really teach you how to use Python or anything else for that matter. If you'd like that, then maybe I can do one, but I don't see the point because there are many such videos out there already, and I'm probably not gonna give you much value by doing a video, so that's why I decided to do it this way instead. Yeah, so that's about it. I hope you found this video useful, especially if you're very unsure about what exactly coding is and what it entails. And if you have any questions, you can always PM me or search it up on your own as well. Yeah, so if you found this video useful, please press the like button and subscribe. And with that, I would like to say thank you and bye.